Hey guys, my name is Andrew Florazone. I'm 28 years old and I wanted to make this video today to really express myself and share my story. Pornography, sex addiction, problems with intimacy have always been a part of my life ever since I first discovered porn around the age of 12. I remember being such a curious kid and searching the internet and finding these images, and from there it was slowly became an addiction in my life, and little did I know as a child what it would do to me. You know, when you're young like that, it's like you're literally just following your natural urges. You could say like you're doing no wrong, right? And now being 28 years old, looking back at those years of my life, I wish I would have had someone tell me what I was doing to myself, how I was harming myself, how my future relationships would suffer because of what I was doing innocently, to at least to myself at the age of 12. Um, you know, it became an everyday thing. You'd come home from school, you'd open up Pornhub, you'd watch some videos, you'd masturbate to them, and it was normal. It was normalized. And it's interesting how we live in this culture of normalization of pornography and masturbation. And we don't see this dark side of it. And I've seen this in so many social settings when this comes up. Like like porn is celebrated. Porn is sexual liberation. And it seems like we don't really explore, or we shy away from the fact of the harm that it's causing people. And I just want to maybe share my experience with that through this video. I believe porn harmed me through warping my sexual template. And it caused me to not be able to connect with my partners. I remember the very first girlfriend I had around the age of 20 years old. And we tried to be intimate, and I remember not being able to connect. Despite being able to watch pornography, love pornography, was so excited for sex, but when it actually came to that physical intimacy between me and my partner, because I was habituated through sex, to sex, through porn, I had no idea how to connect with a real human being. And I think at that point was the very first point I knew something was wrong. So I knew something was wrong, and I knew I had to make a change. That's when I first discovered NoFap. And I remember going on Reddit and looking into why porn blocks you from having real intimacy. And then I started seeing it in my real life, how watching porn and having sex are obviously two completely different things, right? But by watching porn, by masturbating, by having that as my main experience for when I was a young teenager into my early 20s, I realized how that messed me up so much. And I realized how I couldn't have real intimacy if I was going to keep going down this path. So I decided to quit pornography, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I equate it to quitting nicotine, now that I've quit nicotine later on in my life, as that was another addiction. I equate it as difficult as that. I think it's just so easy and so accessible, right? That anytime we're alone, we're tempted by this illusion of having as many partners as possible, infinite partners. When you go onto porn websites and stuff like that, you have this illusion and this pride that you have all these partners. Like, your brain doesn't know the difference. It thinks it's real humans, but it's not. It's crazy. It's crazy. So quitting the pornography, I remember I had to replace it with going to the gym, with eating right. And it had to go, I had to relate it to something like deeper. I had to look at myself in the future as a father, as someone with a successful business, and see that if I kept on using pornography and objectifying women, that my life would be miserable, that I would never have a deep connection, that I would never actually experience love in its purest form. And I think when I started seeing it like that is when I really made a shift. Is when I started seeing my future self with porn and without porn. And I realized that I needed a life without it. And the thing with pornography, and if you've watched it since a young age of 12, it's something that's always going to be a little bit tempting to you whenever you're alone, whenever you're going through a stressful time. If that was your way to cope in the past, you're going to find yourself, even after you quit, you're going to be constantly met with that temptation to escape into this fantasy land of cheap dopamine, of cheap pleasure, of instant gratification. And I guess if you're watching this video, I just want you to know that it's not worth it. It's the regret that you feel from using pornography instead of pursuing your dreams, goals, ideal relationships. It haunts you. It cripples you. It makes you weak. It makes you lazy. It makes you complacent. I just want you to know that you too can quit. I want you to know that life is better on the other side of pornography. Life is better when you learn to love, when you learn to have real life connections with other people, when you embrace relationships and embrace women and embrace love. You know, when we watch pornography, we see the degradation of women. We see men controlling women, men abusing women. And then we actually start to act that out in our own lives. And if you've watched porn for any amount of time, you've probably seen this in your own life, how your sexual template has been morphed by what you've seen. And you have to, again, stop watching the pornography and then tune back into your sexuality and tune back into your heart and embrace love, intimacy, and relationships from that place. When I was able to quit around 21, 22, I gained one of my first relationships, and it was one of the most fulfilling moments of my life. And I equate that almost entirely to giving up pornography. And so if you're in a dark place right now where you feel like you're lacking love, lacking deep friendships, lacking a relationship, and you're using porn, I ask you to question if that's what you want in your life. If 1 year, 2 years down the road, do you see yourself using pornography every couple of days, every day? And make that shift for yourself. Almost every young man is at some point going to struggle with pornography. And I want to help you quit. I want to help you persevere. I want to see you gain the confidence in yourself to overcome this addiction, to overcome this habit, and see life for what it is when you're not constantly tempted by pornography. I'm offering these little coaching calls. If you guys are looking for someone to help guide you, someone who's been through it, I'd be more than happy to help you out, to offer you words of encouragement, to be your accountability partner. The more people that open their eyes to the damage that porn is doing to society as a whole, to the family, I believe we're making a shift, and I believe we are choosing a new frequency. We are choosing new life. We're choosing what matters most to us, and I think that's the most important. Be strong. Remember that temptations are impermanent. They will pass. focus your energy, focus on what you want in your life. And the pain of discipline beats the pain of regret in this circumstance. The feeling you have, you've all had it, where you've been watching porn, been so involved in it, and then you ejaculate, and the fantasy is over, and you're left there with your dick in your hand, and you're just like, what am I doing with my life? And I get it. I'm not judging anyone who watches porn here and there. If it's not a problem for you, this video is not for you. But if you've been in that situation and you felt low, drained, sad, then I invite you to make this change. I invite you to look to change your behavior for the betterment of your life, for the betterment of the people around you, for the betterment of your family, for the betterment of your friends. Life is so rewarding when we feel like we are not gripped by these addictions, by these pulls of nature, when we are in control of our energy, when we are in control of our focus, when we are in control of our attention, we can create beautiful things. So I invite you to trust your intuition. I invite you to take a leap of faith and make a change in your life today. Thanks for watching. I hope to share more of these videos here very shortly.